Hey fellas, your commissioner here, coming at you for a little week 12, week 12 of NFL action. As you can see here, I'm in a different setting, different venue than normal. Not really loving the way that the shadows are playing. Give me 1 second, turn on lights. A little bit there. Let's see, does that help any? I bet it doesn't. Yeah, not really. Not really. But anyway, we're here coming at you from Karen's house, Mama Kay, special Thanksgiving edition of the State of the Union. As was sometimes happens on Thanksgiving if we're out and about traveling. You get it on Thanksgiving Day, and you get it maybe in a new exotic location. Still got the sash. Still got the still got the. This shirt's a little slick. Still got some blue on there though for a wet willy. Blue. I gotta have that blue. Horse ass trophies here as well. Made it safe and sound in one piece. So not really much to say about the abysmal franchise that most of us went to school to support and are fans of. It's kind of a pathetic state, and I'm just going to leave it at that. I don't really want to give them any more of my thoughts or attention or effort, and that's going to be that. That's going to be that. So hopefully, maybe it can motivate that sad piece of pathetic. Just so anyway, let's go ahead here and get into a recap of last week's games. Start off with our Black Forest mini gummy bear game of the week between Kickers Lives Matter and the Swamp Donkeys. And this one wasn't particularly close, right? It wasn't particularly close. Blaine wins 142 to 110, breaks up Duncan's nice little win streak that he was on, drops him to 6-5. Blaine's now won 2 in a row to get to 7-4. Excuse me. And, Josh Allen finally figured out how to play against the Jets, had a great game. Everybody on Blaine's team was in double digits except for A.J. Brown. And that's just, this just goes to show why Blaine is so hard to beat. It's so hard to beat because he has studs all up and down his lineup. He has Kamara on bye this week, throws in Jaylen Warren. I mean, Jaylen Warren's been a RB1 the last couple weeks, filling in quite nicely. Gibbs just continues to dominate. St. Brown's been on a tear. Mike Evans continues to stay injury free. Kincaid had a solid showing, and it's just, what are the odds that multiple guys in Blaine's lineup are gonna lay an egg? It happens. A.J. Brown finally came off a month-long hot streak that he was on, puts up 2.8 points, but the whole rest of his team was there to pick up the slack. I mean, 18 from Puka, 15 from Mike, 21 from St. Brown, and then his 2 RBs combined for almost 45 points. His quarterback got him almost 30. It's just not a lot of holes there, guys. There's just not a lot of holes in this Swamp Donkey attack. And, you look at the bench, too. I mean, Charbonnet, 13 points. Jaden Reed, 20 points almost. Bateman was fine. Ingram, solid 7. Chuba, Kamara. It's just, he's a wagon. He's a wagon. I mean, he might end up with the all-time league scoring record. I don't recall what that is off the top of my head. I can look. And I don't know if he's on pace. He might be. He might not be. Hall of Records. Let's take a quick peek. Let's see. So 2,028.6 points is the record by Nick in 2018. Now, of course, we do have an extra regular season game now, so I'd probably have to go back, do the total, and then like the total points per game to give a fair comparison across the different eras of whenever we had 4 teams or 6 teams, 13-week regular season, 14-week regular season, to try to kind of balance that out. But I believe Blaine's already at 1,500 points. Yeah, 15-15. So he would need 500 points over the last 3 games. Doesn't seem quite likely. So he did have a couple weeks there where he was a little bit lower scoring. So unlikely that he hits that 2,000 point threshold these last 3 weeks. He would literally have to average, 170 a game? Is that right? Let's see, minus 15, 485 divided by 3. Yeah, he'd have to average 160 a game. So unlikely that happens. But, hey, stranger things, right? So, and for Duncan, 110, respectable showing for Duncan. Like you say, he just ran into a buzzsaw, right? There's not really much you can do about that. I realize I always show fantasy. Really, I probably should show this, right? Just loser. That's what I am. Not this week, but maybe, not last week, but maybe this week. We'll get to that. Kittles continues his hot tear. 20 plus points each of the last 3 games he's played. Sutton continues to be just a touchdown machine. Brian Robinson sneakily having one of the best running back seasons of anybody this year. He's RB3, I think, on the season. He's got a lot of 8-point games in there, but he's certainly got a lot of 20-point games in there as well. Dak kind of came back down to reality. His flex is kind of up in the air. Eckler had a bad game as well. For Duncan, you kind of, whenever you play Blaine, you kind of just got to expect to take one on the chin unless his whole team is hurt, which isn't going to happen, or on bye. Credit to Blaine, right? Luck's part of the game. A big reason why Plunk was able to three-peat was because he stayed pretty clean injuries throughout that whole 3 seasons. He had some of the best injury luck I've ever seen. And Blaine's kind of on that same tear. He lost, Gibbs was down for like a game or 2. Kamara had a suspension, but he's got guys that are injury prone. Kamara's been dinged up in his career. Mike Evans has been dinged up in his career. They're just somehow finding a way to stay healthy and stay dominating. So, credit to Blaine, he's still, especially as we look at our next game here, between doesn't contribute and it was fun while it lasted. Craig wins 115-87 to put Savoy on a 2-game losing streak after Savoy looked like he was he was in the driver's seat for the 1 seed. All he had to do was just keep winning, and if not get the 1 seed, he had very, very worse was going to still have a first round bye, sitting at 7-2 just a couple of weeks ago. But now he is in second place, tied record with Blaine. He still has to play Blaine later this season. I think the last game of the regular season, which could very well keep him out of the playoffs if he keeps on this cold streak. Obviously, the rebrand, more suave olave. It was fun while it lasted. He said he's not going to talk about his fantasy team anymore. And I can't say I blame him. 87 points. I think is that back-to-back weeks now. He is below 90. Yeah, back-to-back weeks at 87 points for Savoy. C.J. Stroud looked good. Again, Herbert outperformed him, right? Herbert had another 30-point game on his bench. Wouldn't have helped him too much this week, right? He gets him still under 100 points. But Aaron Jones hurt again. He's done. Mark Andrews done for the year. He had no Olave last week, no Algier, no Palmer, no Guyton. He's got Lenny, who I don't think has even played a snap yet this season, has he? No, he hasn't. Gosh. And Diggs has been kind of poopy the last couple weeks here. Under 10 points in each of his last 2 games. So things are not looking good for old Savoy. They're not. I think he knows that. I think we could very well see him go on a 5-game losing streak to end the season and miss the playoffs. I think it's. I think we're potentially going to see a very big flip in the teams that are currently in versus the teams that end up in the playoffs. We have 6 teams, half the league, literally half the league is at 6-5. I've never seen that this late in the season where you've got this many teams with the same record. I mean, number one team only the number two, the best records in the league only being 7-4. I mean, that's insane, guys. I mean, normally there's at least one guy who stays hot. Has only got a couple losses this late in the year, maybe 3. But to have the best teams still tagged with 4 losses, the 2 best team, I say that best records rather, because I'm always not one of the best teams right now. I think he would admit that too. So golly, this thing's just too slick. It's not a good material to coincide with this. Might have to go tarps off, But, credit to Craig, he needed the win. Brock Purdy and the Ayuk stack, on his cock, right? I believe were his words. Great games. I mean, they combined for over 50 points, almost 60 points. But outside of those 2 guys and DK, not a lot there. He didn't have Ramondre. Keaton Mitchell's done next to nothing since being acquired by Craig. Josh Jacobs had another mediocre game. Zay Flowers, mediocre game. Conklin's terrible. He had to play him with Pitts on bye. But Craig should be getting Stevenson back from the bye. Kyron back from the IR. And so, that gives him a solid 3 running back rotation there with Jacobs, Stevenson. God dang it. Stevenson and who else? Kyron. But and his wide receiver room's fine too. I mean, it's really just the tight end is the only area, I guess, that he doesn't really have any hope, any good talent, any good prayer of having a consistent production from that position. But as long as Brock Purdy's playing bad teams, he's going to put up big numbers. So. I don't know what his schedule looks like the rest of the season, but Seattle, Philly, Arizona, I mean, there's no reason why he can't keep putting up 20-point plus games the rest of the season because, I mean, all those pass defenses are garbage. He doesn't run into problems really until Baltimore in Week 16, and, by then he probably is okay at that point, you would think. So, all right, so yeah, good for Craig. He gets back on track, 5-6, keeps his very much in the mix to still sneak his way into the playoffs. Next here we got Horse Ass and the Cataclysmic Catches, another team that's in a little bit of a mini slump right now. Wilson has scored below 100 points 3 straight weeks. Should be on a probably 3-game losing streak. He's on a 2-game losing streak, still 6-5, still in the mix, but I went 130 to 94, third highest point total on the season, or on the week, I'm sorry. It might be my third highest point total for myself this season as well. But, really just carried by the wide receivers. I mean, Tank Dell has been incredible the last few weeks. Devontae is getting going again. Tyreek he's a freak. Tua had a serviceable game. I mean, 22 points, that's fine. Dobbs, it continues. I keep him on the bench. He's going to continue to score touchdowns and make me look like a fool. But Deontay did nothing. He's been terrible the last 2 weeks. See if the new OC can maybe turn that around. Hawkinson under double digits, I think, for the first time this season, maybe the second time. And the running backs combined for 14 points. Not good. Not good on Monday night. Those were 2 fairly tough run defenses. Madison did fumble again, which is discouraging to see. But yeah, no JT. I didn't have any other choice. I had to play those 2 guys. So, and you look at Wilson. I mean, outside of Mahomes and Swift, I mean, he was sitting on like 52 points, I think, going into Monday night. And Swift and Patty combined for 40 and kind of salvaged his the appearance of his week, I guess, because the rest of it was just dog shit. I mean, Connor's not good. Kupp got hurt again. Sam Laporte has been mediocre ever since Gibbs and Montgomery have both been healthy. Khalil, it's in a 3-way timeshare, really. He had no Shaheed, no Hunter Henry, no Taysom Hill. Thielen is a target monster. 14 points from him is fine. And Hopkins got a fluke touchdown on a trick play. But outside of that, pretty bad. I think Wilson's in some serious trouble, especially if Kupp is going to miss some time. And we'll see. We'll see. I mean, he did this shit last year too. He was looking like he was a lock. He was going to make the playoffs. I mean, Wilson was sitting at 6-3 just a couple weeks ago, and looked like, man, is Wilson actually legit? Is he good? And he was sitting there in first place around that same time last season, and just kept losing games, and was able to barely clean on to a playoff berth, his first ever. And it's looking like he's in for a repeat because I just don't have much faith in this team scoring more than 110 points most weeks, to be quite honest with you. And, I think the trade early on that we made looked a little bit like it was going to be in Wilson's favor. But I think things are turning around now. Of course, I only had one piece of that trade playing in this game. Wilson with the galaxy brain move to drop the landmine of, I know I'm going to play Laz in week 11. That's when JT's on bye. I'm going to get him. I got your ass, didn't I? Yeah, not so fast, my friend. JT, don't need him. All right. I got Tyreek. All right. I got Devontae Adams. All right. I got Tank Dell. All right. I don't need anybody else. Those are my guys. Those are my three guys. If they can go out there and put up combined for 30, 60, 80, about 80 some odd points every week, I'm going to be all right. I can make do. All right. I can figure out a way to get some production if they can go out there and do that every week. Now, will they? Probably not. I'm a realistic guy, right? But hey, anything's possible. Clearly, look at it, right? Look at it. So, yeah, I mean, I needed it. It was a huge win for the team to get to 6-5, 2 wins in a row, especially with what I got coming up this week. But just there's no other way to say it. It was a huge win for Horse Ass, and I hope we can try to keep this positive momentum rolling. So next here we got Shade Dynasty and the Dirty Birds of War. Shade was able to finally break his long losing streak that he was on. Another team that started off very hot and has some recent troubles, continues to stick it to a one-time great who has clearly lost his fastball, lost his luster, lost 5 games in a row. $5 foot-long games in a row. The Dirty Birds of War fall to 4-7, drop 132 to 113. Shade is now 6-5 on the season, still very much alive. He did lose Michael Thomas, probably essentially for the year, effectively. So that's his second wide receiver now that's dead. Mike Williams, Mike Thomas, some about Mike's, got to be like Mike, right? And Addison's been, Tyler Boyd, Odell's been coming on. That's encouraging to see. Calvin Ridley had his best game of the season. That's really kind of what carried D-Shade to victory because his wide receivers have just not been giving him consistent production. Josh Dobbs was kind of mediocre, so. Pollard had a very good game compared to how he's been playing. Hope brighter days ahead. If Pollard can get going again, if Ridley can stay hot here, he's going to need McCaffrey, Pollard, Ridley, and Kelsey to really carry him because he does not have a good wide receiver 3 option. With Justin Jefferson maybe coming back, who knows how his wide receiver 2 option is even going to look. So he really needs those 2 running backs and his tight end to do what they do, right, and just dominate. Anyways, let's see here. And for Connor, he had no Drake London, no Michael Pittman, no Zach Moss. But he played Henderson. Henderson had 1 yard, somehow ended up with 13 points almost. Michael Meyer, nothing. Zay Jones. Connor doesn't have a tight end that's worth shaking a stick at. Achan came back in, got like 2 touches, and got hurt again. Who knows what's going on with him? Is he going to go back on the IR? Is he going to play a full snap? Share? I don't know. Mike McDaniels is just playing games. Mike McDaniel, or not McDaniels. Mike, is it Mike McDaniel or Mike? Josh McDaniels, Mike McDaniel. God dadgummit, Bobby. So, let me see if I can try to. Yeah, that didn't do shit. But Keenan continues. I made one of the best picks of the draft. I would say one of the biggest steals. The way Keenan's been playing this year, found new life. In year whatever, he's like 30 some odd years old, and just continued to dominate. They got no other choices there. There's no other weapons really. Quentin Johnson stinks. Palmer's hurt. Mike Williams hurt. Gerald Everett hurt. But for Connor, I still think he'll turn things around, but he has to essentially win out now. I mean, this 5-game losing streak that he's been on after starting 4-2, if he doesn't win every single one of his last games to get to 500, very low probability that he has a shot at making the playoffs. Not out of it yet, but there's still a shot. James Cook had a good game. He's had back-to-back double-digit weeks. So he needs him to stay going. But if Achane doesn't play, doesn't get healthy, he doesn't really have a RB2. Henderson was cut. Zach Moss has been relegated to nothing. I mean, McLaughlin maybe gets you 10 if you're lucky. Probably gets you 5 to 7. And his wide receiver room's fine, right? Like, he's gonna roll out Chase, Keenan, Pittman, London. Like, I think he's done with all of his buys at the wide receiver room, so he should be fully loaded there. It's really just gonna hinge on can Meyer have some consistent production at the tight end, and can Lamar stay hot? I think he really wanted to and wished he could have flipped Kyler for a tight end or potentially a running back. To kind of bolster some of his depth. Didn't happen for him, and good job, guys. Way to stay strong. But yeah, I mean, it's a sad sight to see how the mighty have fallen. How the mighty have fallen. So next here we got Can You Feel the Love and the McCockners. This was a lot of streaks, a couple streaks rather, continued, but there was a lot of streaks that ended. I mean, D-Shade broke his long losing streak. Duncan's long winning streak was broken. JD, another long winning streak, was broken. But somehow, some way, Rip keeps #getting away with it. I don't know how. I don't know why. But he's somehow found his way after starting the season 0-4 to get to 6-5. He's won 4 in a row. He's only put up triple digits twice on his current 4-game winning streak to get to 6-5. He wins 111 to 102, low hundreds. Of course, he kicked his 4-game winning streak off by dropping 139 or something on me, and then proceeded to get lucky with 2 wins under 90 or under 100 points. I think he was in the 90s. And for JD, he loses this one, 4-game losing streak. Burrow going out early in the game is really the only reason I think that Rip won this game. I think that Burrow easily could have got another 9 to 10 points. Gabe Davis, Gooster, he doesn't play. Ty Chandler because of the news of potential Alexander Madison playing. That was a mistake. Ty Chandler is clearly the superior running back. It seems like any running back that Minnesota brings in has been better than Madison. Madison's no more than really a change of pace back, clearly. Whenever Dalvin was there, he looked good in short spurts, right? But he's not proven that he can be the guy. Ty Chandler, it's like, why did they even bring in Cam Akers? Why weren't they giving Ty Chandler a run earlier in the season? It's weird to me because he's looked far better. And so, he plays Ty Chandler again instead of Gabe Davis. He wins, but he wanted to roll the dice on a fluky guy, a boom bust guy against the number 1 pass defense in the league, and it cost him. It burned him. I mean, he made a bad decision. I think he knows that. He didn't play Brandon Cooks either, which, wouldn't have really helped him much. CD kind of came back down to reality a little bit. Still 16 points, solid game from him. DJ Moore back on track. 22 points with Justin Fields being back at the helm. Judy had a solid game as well. But, really solid performances all around for JD's team outside of Burrow getting hurt and then making the decision to start Gabe. And like I said, that really cost them. I would have preferred JD to win. I would have liked to see JD win. I don't want to see two teams that start 0-4 back-to-back years make the playoffs. But that's, I mean, granted, now Rip is still sitting in 8th place. Even he's the bottom of all the teams at 6-5 because his points for is just dog shit. It's one of the probably bottom third, maybe bottom. I think he's maybe 9th most points, 10th most points in the league. Versus Connor, he's got, I think, the 3rd most points in the league right now, and he's sitting at home with his putt in his hand at 4-7, right? Because he's got a lot of points against. So that's just the way the game goes sometimes. Like I said, these teams, they make these deals, right? Nick made deals early in his career. Like, we'll get to him in a minute. Plunk made his deal with the Devil to win 3 in a row, and now he's paying for it. So, but, for Rip, okay game. I mean, Saquon, 30-point game. That was, I did not realize he had 30 points. Wow. That's really kind of what saved his week. Hurts, 20 points, so-so. Devontae had a pretty good game, 16 points. Musgrave's on the IR, so, no Goddard, no Musgrave. Rip's in tight end hell now as well, as so many teams in the league. Sam Howell, whatever, he's not going to play him the rest of the season. Roshan stinks, Creams, J-Mo got 12 points, finally got a touchdown on the bench. Curtis Samuel, yuck. His team just still doesn't inspire a lot of confidence in me. He's got some good guys. I mean, Hurts, Barkley, Brees, Debo can make it happen. Godwin's just been mediocre this season. Devontae can make it happen, but the tight end, the flex, third wide receiver, it's worrisome for me, but hey, if he stays winning like he's winning, it doesn't matter. I mean, if he wins out, he's going to be in the playoffs. That's just a fact. That's a fact. So, credit to Rip, whatever. He's finding a way to do it. So, great. And then our final game here are throw up all over themselves, piss on themselves, throw up blood, too fat to go down the fire pole. Joint. Dog shit matchup, dog shit teams. First ever, I believe, where I've given 2 teams to be the dog shit team of the week, right? You knew it was coming, right? Concussion protocol and the father figures. The two worst teams in the league, record by record. I believe the 2 worst teams in the league by points for 78.6 to 79.2. And honestly, if there was any such thing as the fantasy gods, this game just would have ended in a tie. Right? This game would have ended in a tie to only be separated by about, 0.8 points, and to both be under 80 points. You can't script the shit any better. And Nick's now on a 3-game losing streak, 3-8, done. He's done. I don't think even if he won out, I don't think that there's any realm of possibility that he makes the playoffs. And all that bitching and moaning and crying he had about earlier in the season, teams score so many points against me. They score so many points against me. I don't want to hear that shit. I mean, he has stopped. Whenever this happens, you get 79 points scored on your ass and you don't find a way to win. It's bad enough whenever you can't beat a team who scores 90 points. It's bad enough whenever you can't beat a team who scores in the 80s. To lose to a team sub 80, and granted, thank goodness it was Ford. Thank goodness, right? Because both of these teams deserve to lose this week. They should have lost, but Ford, not non-threat, right? He's won 2 in a row now to salvage his season to get to 4-7. He's done though. That's over. Fairyland time's over, right? And let's just run down their lineups here. Stafford, he's got 1 foot in the grave. He's done. 12.6 points. He thought he was doing something cute. Benches Trevor Lawrence against the pass funnel defense that is his Tennessee Titans, the dog shit Tennessee Titans. Trevor Lawrence drops 37 points on his ass. And he easily wins this game if he plays him. It saves himself the embarrassment of scoring less than 80 points, and he chooses not to do it. I don't know why. Derrick Henry does nothing. Travis Etienne, nothing against the stiff run defense of the Titans. Waddle is not that guy. Tyreek is a vortex who sucks up all fantasy production. Nom, 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 nom. He's like Connor whenever he sees an all-you-can-eat buffet, or rather I should say Josh, our current chunky monkey. Garrett Wilson's got Tim Boyle throwing him the ball. Garbage. Done. He's done. Right? Christian Watson's not that 2 catches, he catches a touchdown, right? Salvage his season. His game, rather. Singletary's only lone bright spot, 20 points. He had the wherewithal to start him. Doesn't play David Montgomery, 18 points on the bench. He didn't have Pop Douglas. He was on bye. Garbage, Nick. It's garbage. And I don't know what's happened to his team. I don't know what's happened to that franchise over there. But I don't know. But it's pretty pathetic. And it's even sadder to see for this. And the fact that 2 of our best owners, consistent owners in league history, who had the longest made playoff streaks in league history, are very well on the cusp of missing the playoffs back-to-back years. I don't think that's ever happened in their franchise history for these 2 teams. And Josh, you're not going to get off unscathed either. No Bijan, he was on bye. That's fine, but Goff throws 3 picks, shows who he truly is. Mixon had a good game because they had to, right? With Browning throwing the ball. Kenny Walker, garbage. Garbage running back, he's done. He's hurt, not playing this week, don't need him. Amari Cooper, stinks. Hollywood Brown, stinks. Jackson Smith and Jigbo, wide receiver 3 with a bad quarterback. Irrelevant. Dalton Schultz, fine, whatever. Touchdown. That saved his day, right? George Pickens, irrelevant. Talent, diva wide receiver. Stop me if you've heard on the Pittsburgh Steelers. Stop me if you've heard this before. That's it. And his best player, Bijan Robinson, his coach doesn't even like him. Doesn't even want to give him the ball. Woo, buddy. You're in trouble. I think both of these teams are in trouble. So, anyways, let's go ahead here and get into a recap. I don't want to be ugly and mean on Thanksgiving, guys. I don't want to have to do that to you, but you force it out of me. You force it out of me, and it's just a sad sight to see. It is. It makes my heart hurt that Josh, gets a win at 79 points, and the only solace is that he does it to the arch enemy, Nick Wheeler, right? So, anyways, recap pickups this week. Obviously, Isaiah Likely was the big bell of the ball. 17 points or 17 fab to rip. Craig was in for 13. Savoy was in for 7. I was in for 6. So, good 4 people in there. I don't know why more people weren't in on him. I mean, Likely, maybe not. He's not that good potentially. But you could certainly do a lot worse. I mean, there are teams that have a lot worse tight ends on their rosters right now. Eli Moore, Rip tried to pick Khalil Shakir, 7 fab to Wet Willie. I don't think anybody else was. I was in on 1 for him. Wilson just always is trying to take the guys I'm trying to claim. McCockners pick up Jordan Love, obviously with their quarterback woes for 5 fab. Just edged out Nick. I mean, that was a good strong bid by JD. Nick had 4 on him. Rip was trying to get Kate Otten for 5. Savoy picked up Jonnu Smith for 3. Ford picked up Trey Palmer for 2. I picked up Eli Moore for 1. Ford tried to pick up Aaron Rodgers for 1 as well, just for fun, shits and gigs. So, who knows? I mean, these guys, you're just trying to pick up contingency plans at this point in the season. So, all right, here. Let's go ahead, preview week 12. What's going to be the game of the week? I think I picked it out earlier. Yeah, we're going to see if we can curse them, I guess. All right, so we're going to start off here. Swamp Donkeys and the Horse Ass. Blaine is projected to win 138 to 126. Both of these teams 2-game winning streaks. Blaine's obviously 7-4. I'm 6-5. Blaine's got some juicy matchups this week. It looks like if Kupp doesn't play, especially, Puka is going to go to the moon against a terrible Arizona Cardinals team. Javonte is playing a tough Browns D. Jonathan Taylor's a tough Tampa D. Tyreek, tough Jets D. Devontae, tough Chiefs D. So it's not looking good. We're just going to go out there and try to have fun. We're going to go out there, try to have fun. We got to win, I think, comfortably to feel comfortable. We need to win 2 out of our last 3 games. That can be in any order, whether we pull off the shock the world upset against a full strength Swamp Donkeys team, which a full strength Swamp Donkeys team has not had a single loss this season. The only time the Swamp Donkeys have lost is whenever his elite starting lineup is not either somebody's injured or somebody's on bye. These 4 losses have been a direct result of that. So it would be maybe the biggest upset of the league so far. I'm not unfamiliar with this. Okay, the horse ass did hand, I believe, Suave Olave his first loss of the season when his team was actually still good. And we're just gonna go out there, cut it loose. I'm throwing in Dobbs today. I want to be able to see some Turkey Day football action. I know what Dobbs does whenever I play him. I've played him twice this season, and he has had his 2 worst games of the season whenever I play him, 5 points and 1.4 points. But I don't trust Deontay Johnson against Cincinnati. I think it sounds like the new OC wants to get Jalen Warren and George Pickens involved, and it's just an AFC North ugly, low-scoring defensive battle. I just don't want. I tried that last week. No, thank you. Give me somebody else. So. Maybe still screw around and play Madison. I don't know. We'll see. But we'll go with Blaine in this one, just for the record. Even though I don't keep track of my record. I used to. I should. Somebody should. Somebody should do that for me, actually. One of the council members, or maybe somebody who wants to try to, there's a conditional council member right now, so that door's a little cracked open. I'm just saying, show some initiative. Maybe you'll get a a promotion, right? You don't just expect to move up and, just by doing the same old, right? You got to be different. You got to be built different. I'm built different. Some of these other guys are built different. And so I want to see that. I want to see that drive. I want to see that fire from some other owners. And maybe it'll turn your season around as well if you start showing some more investment into the league. So, and really, I truly there was not talking about anyone in particular other than the conditional council member. So, so we'll go with Blaine in that one. Next here we got the McCockners and doesn't contribute. Huge game as well. I mean, this week is filled with big games. I mean, week 12 is gonna tee teams up these last couple weeks to take some of the pressure off of them, or it's going to put the pressure on to say you better win your last 2 games, otherwise you're out, buddy. And I think I've mentioned it before, but I'm very excited about our new format with the horse ass the council came up with. I can't remember which council member it was, but I took credit to them, whether it was Nick Craig or Duncan. It wasn't Duncan, I'm sure. I don't think it was Rip either. I think it was Nick or Craig. It's now, it's scary if you're down there now. It's scary. If you were one of the bottom 2 teams, automatically you have one less chance to win a game. You win 1 game in the horse ass now, you're safe. You're done, right? You're done. So the bottom 2 teams will be on a bye in the horse ass bracket, which is actually not a good thing. You don't want to be on a bye because that's one less chance you have to win a game. And the losers of the first 2 matchups will play the 11 and the 12 seed. Whoever loses that game, those 2 teams will play for the horse ass. Whoever loses, it guarantees that we have someone go winless, whether they go 0-3 or 0-2. And it's scary shit. It's going to be scary shit if you're down there. Anything can happen in 3 games, right? You just never know. So, but anyway, 6-5 versus 5-6. Craig really needs this. If he loses this one, it's not looking great for his chances to sneak in. He is projected to win 121-118. T. Higgins, who knows? He's playing Jordan Love. He needs a huge game from him today. Craig's got 3 players going today as well. That Seahawks 49ers late game tonight is going to be huge for him. Really indicate which way this matchup is going to go. But I think I like Craig in this one. I think Craig's going to be able to get it done. I think Rashad and CD have huge games for JD, but I'm not really digging any of his other matchups. So I'm going to go with Craig in that one. Next here, We got the Dirty Birds and the concussion protocol. And like I just said, you do not want to be one of the bottom two teams, right? You don't want to be one of the bottom two teams. Right now, I think Plunk is sitting at 10 because he has a points for advantage over Ford. Nick's sitting at 12, right? Nick needs this to try to have any hope of getting off of that bottom two line. Both of these guys on long losing streaks. Plunk hasn't won in over a month, 5 in a row. Nick has lost 3 in a row. He is projected to win 116 to 113. Looks like Keenan's probably fine, I'm sure. Ed Achan, though, who knows? So he's got McLaughlin in there right now. If Achan can get cleared and play, maybe he's got a shot because the Jets' run defense is pretty dog shit. But tough Philly run defense for Cook, although they've been a little bit more susceptible. I mean, their defense in general just is not near what it was last year. Pittman should feast against a terrible Tampa secondary. Baltimore, if they do one thing, they defend the pass. So that's going to be tough for him. But Waddle, who knows, against the Jets. Oh, man. It's tough. It's a tough one. I think we're going to go with Connor. I think we're going to submit Nick is officially going to be locked in as a bottom 2 seed. I think Plunk gets off this 5-game losing streak that he's on and pulls off the upset. Next, Kickers Lives Matter. It was fun while it lasted. Duncan is projected to win 123 to 116. This would be a huge win for Duncan, and conversely, a huge loss for Savoy. Savoy can right the ship here if he wins this game. He would get to 8-4 and be in pretty good position down the stretch to weather what's almost certainly a guaranteed loss here in a couple weeks against Blaine. Duncan does have one guy going today, a couple guys going today. So that'll be huge for him. I mean, let's see how Brian Robinson does against a stout Dallas defense. Have they played earlier this season yet? I don't think they have. No, they haven't. So that'll be curious, and it's also very curious that he's playing them in the flex. Typically, you don't like to do that. A savvy fantasy player would put them at their RB slot and maintain flexibility in their flex. That's why it's called the flex, just because you never know. Okay, Wicks is out. That's good for Dobbs. That's good. And Musgrave's out too. So Dobbs is guaranteed. All the stars are aligning for Dobbs to have just a great matchup. All these other pass catchers are out. He's going to go 3 for 20. I'm predicting it now. 3 for 21. So, and no touchdowns. But anyway, I would love to see Savoy lose. I think it would be hilarious. Personally, nothing against Savoy. I mean, I like the guy. I love you, buddy. But I'm going to go with Duncan in this one. I think it would just be too funny to see him fall out of contention. I hope I make the playoffs, and I would like to see Savoy in the playoffs because his team's not terribly scary, but it's still more than capable of making a run. So, but we'll go with Duncan in that one. Next here, Cataclysmic Catches versus the Father Figures, and Forge Luck's probably about to run out. We'll see. I mean, two teams that are, I know Forge on his little 2-game win streak. Josh. Sorry, Josh. But, maybe just blast some Creed this week and try to fight through it, right? You know what I mean? So, because he's been over 100 points just once since week 6, and like I said, Wilson's been under 100 points each of the last 3 weeks. So is he going to be able to regain that spark that he had in the middle of the season, or is the last 3 weeks what we've seen out of him more of an indicator of what his team truly is? I don't think it is. I don't think that he's a less than 100-point team. I think Josh is less than a 100-point team. No Kenneth Walker this week. I think, Pickens probably is due for, I think, a double-digit game. I think he's going to be a squeaky wheel and get a lot of work. But we're gonna roll with my guy Wet Willie in this one. Go blue, right? So And then that brings us to our game of the week. And I don't have anything in here, so give me just one minute here. Oh, let's see. Well, hold on. This is perfect. This is a perfect sponsor for these two teams. The Planters Dry Roasted Lightly Salted Peanuts game of the week. 100% dry roasted, certified by Mr. Peanuts, 0% fried. I didn't know that you could have a percentage on fry level. That's something that I'm definitely going to have to look into. Loser. That's me this week. Do not give nuts to children under 4, I guess. Probably choking hazard. They're young and dumb. They don't know what they're doing. Can't breathe. Oh, God, yeah. Not funny, but it's real, right? It happens. Otherwise, it wouldn't be on here, right? You know what I mean? You don't just become a classic overnight. These nuts are a result of 100 years of perfecting and salting and tweaking the ultimate combinations of flavor and crunch. Nuts of distinction since 1906. So just a couple years before most of us have been born. 8% less plastic. Wow, good for them. I would say it's a heart healthy thing. But however, I don't see this on here. But it does contain peanuts. May contain tree nuts. So if you are allergic to peanuts, probably don't eat these. But like I said, this is a good game for Shade Dynasty and Can You Feel the Love, because I'm very salty that Rip has somehow found a way to win 4 in a row. And I'm very salty at the way that D-Shade has been acting about the trip and about changing his name and just being a little baby back B. And so anyway, the dry salted, lightly salted peanuts, official peanuts of the Bring That Wood Fantasy Football League. Cheers. Come on. There we go. That's good. Can you see it? Good handful. Yum. I was on the fence about just doing a shot of tequila this morning. Start Thanksgiving off right at Karen's alcohol cabinet. But I thought, you know what? This is just too perfect. The saltiness, that's just, it's great. It's great because that's how I feel about these two teams right now. Rip as a team, not as a person. D-Shade as a person, not necessarily as a team. So, battle of the quarterback, you got Josh Dobbs versus Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts, don't even have to think about it. Christian McCaffrey, Tony Pollard versus Saquon Barkley, Breece Hall. They're a little bit tougher matchups for Rip's running backs. Washington's defense is so bad. McCaffrey's so good. I think we'll have to give the number 1 overall edge there to McCaffrey. He's the best running back in the league, not even close. So we'll go with D-Shade in that one. Battle of the wide receivers. You got Calvin Ridley, Addison, Odell versus Debo, Godwin, and Devontae Smith. I'm not really, inspired by either of these running back or wide receiver rooms. I guess I'll give a slight edge to Rip. Just a slight one, though. It's close. It's almost a push. Tight ends, Kelsey versus Likely. Kelsey, not even close. Tyler Boyd and J-Mo Williams in the flex. Bleh! You got to start A.J. Dillon, dude. What are you doing? Just start A.J. Dillon. Don't get cute. I mean, Aaron Jones is out. Detroit's defense is so-so. Just play him. And don't think about it. All right. But yeah, as that stands, that's gross. I mean, he's just banking on J-Mo getting lucky and getting a touchdown. So otherwise, he's looking at a 5-point game as his Shade is projected to win 117 to 109. I mean, it's really going to come down. Can those 4 guys I talked about earlier this video, can they get enough? Can they do enough? McCaffrey, Pollard, Ridley, Kelsey. If they can, great. They'll win. He'll win easily and destroy Rip's, 4-game win streak that he's on and put him at 6-6, and with his points for, really in need of winning out his last 2 games to have a shot at getting in. So I just think that Rip's one of the luckiest teams in the league right now. I think he finds a way to get it done. I think he gets to a 5-game win streak, somehow ends up at 7-5 and pretty much locked into the playoffs. So we'll go with Rip in that one. Change your name, Dylan. Change your name. Okay? Change your name and I'll start picking you again. I'm about to make you have to change your team name now, too. Get rid of shade in the team name. I just wanted you to change the group me name. That was it. Simple. It's simple. Just do it. And all this shit can be avoided. I don't think that your fab's been adjusted yet. I'm about to take some out right now. So, but anyway, I don't want to end on a negative note, right? It's Thanksgiving, right? It's Thanksgiving. I love you guys. I'm thankful for you guys, even you, Dylan. I love to rag on you. I love to wear on you, but I love you. I want you to stay in the league. I want you to be a part of this forever, always with us, So, if that means me dropping the fines and just dropping the Dylan thing, that's fine. I'll do it. But I really want to see you there. I want to see you in Mexico. I want you to be able to find a way to make it happen. I told the league, hey, let's just back off of them. Let's not press the issue on them anymore, right? I know we can't force you into doing anything you don't want to do. I understand that. But we do that because we care about you. We want to see you there. We enjoy hanging out with you. We enjoy spending time with you, So, look at that. I'm getting choked up, I truly hope that you have a change of heart. I truly hope that you're able to make it. And even if you can't, we'll try to find some other way to make sure you stay in the league. So we just want to make sure it's a good reason, right? So, but it's all of you guys. Like I said, I love you guys. I love all of you. It's Thanksgiving. I'm thankful for you. I hope I get to see a couple of you over the next couple days that I'm up here. It sounds like y'all are pretty busy with your own families. So I understand if that doesn't happen. But it sure would be cool if it did. So just feel free. We'll be Top Golfing Saturday at like 10:45, I think, 10:45 to 12:45. After that, we're pretty much open. So, if y'all are free, just hit us up and we'll try to come to you or meet somewhere or whatever and make it happen. So, I hope y'all enjoy a lot of good food this today. If you're watching this today, if not, I hope you had a lot of good food. And hope you enjoyed the football today. Hope it's a good 3 good games. Hope y'all stay safe, traveling to and from places. Wish all of y'all good luck. And that's it. Love you guys. And woo pig.